Hey YouTube, trying to give you some comparisons and contrasts between the Sig P238 and the Sig 938. 238 shoots a 380 caliber, 938 shoots a 9mm. Both of them come with these standard magazines, which have carry 6, and you can purchase the extended magazines with this little pinky support for they give you 7 in the magazine. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Both of these guns have empty magazines and have already been safety checked prior to this test. So if we put in the the normal low profile magazine on both of these, you can see that the guns have a nice, I've got fairly large hands, but if I zoom in here, let me fix my zoom, that the hand fits fairly well. For my hand, it's a little small. So at this point here, you can see that fits about like that. And I'll take the 9mm and do the same. Now I've got hoe grips on this guy here, and that'll give you maybe a kind of hopefully some sort of dimension on how this weapon fits. One thing you can see is with the lower profile, obviously it makes it more concealable, but the pinky does tend to hang off the end. So by taking these magazines out and put it in the ones with the extended pinkies, it does make the gun a little bit more comfortable to shoot. So the 238 here with my hand on it, that's a nice pinky rest that rests right there. Once again, it's a great concealable gun, and I do feel that I'm having to pull my hand back for my size hands, but that's just me. And the same thing for me, the hoe grips do a lot better. My gal shoots to the 380, and this area right here bothers her. She said her hands are a little too small for that. Fits me perfectly, but she didn't care for it too much. But for me, it makes it a lot more comfortable. Both of them are very similar in size compared to a lot of the some of the other guns out there, maybe like the Walther or the Ruger, the LC9. It's heavier. It's a solid steel construction for the gun, and it has more of what I call a solid or heavier feel to it compared to those firearms. So when you pick it up, that's the first thing you'll notice when you compare it to others. But between these two, one of the questions I would ask is which one would I choose or I suggest to others to purchase, and I would suggest the 238. This is like the little darling for Sig. They're just reliable. They shoot well. Recoil is very manageable, and we'll get into the 9mm versus 380. But I had a lot of problems with this nightmare version, the 938, from the very get-go. It had a lot of failure to extracts, failure to feeds. And I ended up sending it back to Sig. They said they polished the feed ramp, and I believe they changed the extractor. And then I got it back, and then those problems went away. But the one thing about it, it's accuracy. And if you're like me, you've watched a lot of YouTube videos to try to maybe learn or see what somebody else has experienced about these guns, and what do they get from it? Well, this 938, unless I'm shooting at 3 yards, I try to standardize somewhere at 7 and 15 and play the two off of each other. I'm not accurate. I mean, even on a hand rest, I can just put it right on the bullseye, and it just doesn't shoot well for me. Yet the 238 does very well. And this is me. And it turned out that my gal had a very, very similar problem with her shooting the firearm as well. She says, "Well, I'll be able to shoot it fine," and she couldn't. The 9mm, for some reason, you can hit the target, but it just doesn't go where you aim. as compared to the 238, I don't know why it doesn't give the same problems. The other thing about it is this SIG, it's real snappy, and you can get sore real quick shooting it as compared to the 380, even as compared to like a big 45, like a, you know, I shoot a 1911, I shoot a Springfield Armory XDM, and I don't get that same feel of like a soreness from it. And I think there's two reasons why. This trigger, these are all single action firearms, which means the hammer needs to be back for it to fire. But the biggest thing, and hopefully I can zoom in on this, is this plate right here in the back can get you really sore really quick. The little stipplings. And the other part of it is, and this is on both of them, is the trigger. If you can see those serrations that are up in there, when this gun, you know, has a pretty snappy recoil, that just eats into your finger. And I think it would have been a better job if that had been, you know, smoother. And the 238, although it has the same kind of serrations in the trigger and a similar stippling, well, it doesn't. See, the stippling in the back is more of a stripe, where the 938, you know, they're dimpled. And that recoil just it just starts, I'm not going to say sore, but it just irritates you after a while. But the thing that I think it comes down to it is I was looking into these firearms was accuracy. And I'm not going to say I'm the, you know, world-class shooter or anything, but I generally try to shoot, you know, for accuracy and train on you know, speed in those kind of situations. But what I found with the 938 was if I took my time and if I aimed and pulled the trigger as slow as I could, then I could not perfect it, but I could improve my accuracy. It was kind of a counterintuitive, because, you know, these are concealed carry weapons, and, you know, nobody wants to have to pull a firearm on a person, but when you do, you want to be able, you know, there's a certain reaction time. You need to pull it, you need to draw, you need to aim, you know, and you know, a lot of the, you know, your vision's going to get very myopic really quick, and, you know, you know, try to think. I'm not very comfortable with this firearm of knowing if I'm going to be accurate, unless somebody is sitting around on top of me. And at that point, you know, almost any firearm would do well within, you know, 5 feet. But anything further, you know, if I was in like a 7-Eleven and a robbery was going down, and I was sitting in an aisle somewhere, and I needed to draw a firearm and the person was 10 or 12 feet away, I do not feel comfortable where these rounds are going to land. 238, I feel much more comfortable with it. And of course, this is a controlled situation that I'm doing in a range, but that's my take. It's sad for me, because I had really high hopes for this firearm, and it generally feels pretty good. I mean, both of them in my hand have a, you know, if somebody just handed it to me with, if I put the standard grips back on here, I really couldn't tell which one was which. But when you shoot it, it's a big difference. So, you know, like I said, this video is mostly, I'm trying to target towards folks that are, you know, newer to shooting, not the great experienced guys, but you know, somebody says, well, you know, what's the biggest difference? So one of the things I'm going to hold up here is I'm going to try to get my camera to zoom in on this, is the difference between the shells. And right here, let me try to zoom this out so much, is on this side right here is the 9mm. I'm going to try to get those to be fairly level if I can, fairly even. And the one that's slightly shorter is the 380. So, in my opinion, you know, when people talk about knockdown power and the 380 has it or the 380 doesn't have it or things like that, yeah, that's just, to me, it's just a bunch of bunk. You know, getting shot with anything, even a 22, is not going to be, you know, much fun. And a 380, I think, has plenty of knockdown power for a concealed carry within a short distance of a range. And, that kind of leads me into this is I was, doing a lot of research, going online, talking to people, watching tons of YouTube videos, and there's a lot of guys that they're up there talking that, they think they're in the military, and some may be, and some, military and police, this doesn't apply to you because your firearm is, part of your job. But for most of us out there, when I watched it, go up to a YouTube and type in clerk shoots robber and look at some of the surveillance videos that were shown. Most of the time, there's between one and maybe two, most commonly, statistically, one or two shots that are fired. Because if somebody's robbing a bank, they just want to take the money. They're not there for a gun battle. This isn't television. And usually once one gun goes off, they're running. I only saw one where a couple, there were shots going back and forth, and they were pretty brazen robbers. And it's always a clerk. They rush in the store, they pull the gun. Not something I think would be as common in a civilian situation, like if you were in a bank, for example, and a robbery went on. They're not going to know immediately that you have a firearm if you have a concealed carry license. And with that going on, I just think commonly what's out there is 2 or 3 shots maximum is what's going to be fired. So the other concern, thing that I was thinking about when I was looking at it was, well, are there enough ammunition? Is there enough ammunition in the magazine to do it? And I think with a 7, or even the 6 with one in the chamber, but with a 7, to me, that's plenty enough. Yes, there may be a rare occasion that maybe a gun battle would happen, and I wish that I had more. But like I said, the likelihood of actually me having to draw a firearm on a person, I'm at the age that I'm at now, let's just leave it as that. I've never really carried a firearm, and I've never been in a situation where I've had to draw one. Hopefully, you avoid those kind of dark alleys and things of that nature. But anyway, one of the questions I'm trying to answer, mostly for new folks, is they're both well manufactured and they're good firearms. And it could be, did I get something that's more of a lemon? I don't know. It doesn't shoot awful. Matter of fact, at this point, it shoots well. I'm just not very accurate with it compared to the 380. I'm very accurate with the 380. I'm accurate with other 9mm that are compacts, not this small, but like a PX4 Storm. I'm accurate with that fine. So that's my food for thought. But anyway, so if to finalize this, if you guys were looking at there and you like the Sig, they tend to be, they're about $100 to $200 more than some of the $400 price range guns. I think this one cost $624. This is the Liberty model, and she likes it. It's not merely my style, but let me see if I can get a good look at this. It says "We the People" on the side, and on the top it has a nice little Liberty Bell on there, and I'm not sure if my camera is picking that up very well, but let me see if I can focus. And it's got the cracked bell on the top that's gold, and that's a gold inlay there. But when you feel them, they've got some good weight to it. Not heavy, just compared to a polymer gun, they have a little bit more mass to it. So anyway, don't know if that helps you. Hopefully, I learned a lot. I'm trying to pay it forward a little bit to you folks that are out there that may be looking at some of these. So if it was up to me, I would get the Sig P238. I think it's the better weapon. It's been problem free from the very beginning, and remains to be that way. And it's a really really good shooter. Well, before I go, one of the things is they both have night sights on there, so they do glow in the dark, and so you can get a good sight picture on this firearm. The same goes for the P238, the 9mm. You can get a good decent sight picture there. And we'll see. Well, that's about it. So hopefully this helps you guys. Have a good one.